Hi, Glenn Block. How's it going?
Not bad, Scott. How are you?
I'm good. We're here in the green room at .NET Fringe. Got your .NET Fringe t-shirt on, looking sharp. And you're hacking away on something here. What's going on?
Well, I was, we've had a bunch of recent releases of ScriptCS, and we've added a bunch of new stuff. So I thought I would show you some of the cool
Well, what about
things.
the people who aren't familiar with
Yeah, so
CSX file?
Yeah, so ScriptCS, if you go to scriptcs.net, it's just really a lighter way. Those first few bullets really tell what it is. It's really just exploring a lighter way to write C# code.
Right, because we love C#. We just don't necessarily want to always compile it and make a CS prods. We just want to script some stuff.
Exactly, or we don't want to think about compiling it because compiling still happens.
We don't want to think about compiling.
Yeah, so that's, ScriptCS has been heavily influenced by the Node world. It's been around about 3 years, looking at kind of a Node-like, how light can we get authoring C# code. It also has a REPL, so it takes a nod from a lot of dynamic languages, or more modern languages like functional languages like F#, for example, that also allows you to write things in kind of a lighter weight manner.
Does it change C# though? Is it C#?
It is C# code, but we do some things. We do have a few magic things that we add on top, which are opt-in, which add some reduced monotony, you could say. To give you an example, I actually have a Nancy web server that I'm going to show you. So,
all right, Nancy FX, of course, is an alternative to ASP.NET, and they actually just went live .NET Core today.
So this is a script that might not even look like C# code. This is one line of code, and so if you come from the JavaScript world, you might have heard this term. You might be familiar with the fact that you can load modules in JavaScript using the require keyword. Well, in ScriptCS, we actually have a function called require, and we have this concept of script packs. Yes,
nice.
And it's generic, so it gives you IntelliSense. So it's strongly typed if you're in an IDE that supports that, or using something like OmniSharp.
So require Nancy pack, and Nancy pack comes out of that, and then .get hangs off at Nancy pack.
Exactly. So just to show you the beauty of ScriptCS, if I go and run this, so I just do scriptcs start.csx, you'll actually see within a couple of seconds I have a web server running. Right, so it says here HTTP localhost 3088.
This is interesting. So this is very different from like .NET Run, because there's no project file there. You just busted out a text editor and you typed a single line of code, and you had Hello World on the web running.
Correct. Now this is a pretty.
I didn't have to NuGet anything.
This is this is of course Hello World, so you can do more than this, but
it's a lot of concepts in a single line of code there.
Exactly, and it is doing a lot. So it's not like those things went away. What ScriptCS does is it provides a model that allows you to build things as an extender that can take care of a lot of plumbing. So this is still spinning up
the
ceremony, exactly. And what do you notice? There's no using statement. All I have is this require. There's no, if you're familiar with Roslyn, you use a $R for references. We have really good support for NuGet packages so that we automatically load them by convention based on their being present. So if I look at the folder here where I have this app, so to speak. So you see I have my CSX file, and you can also see that I have this scriptcs packages.config. Now, that's just packages.config, like for NuGet.
Okay, so I was going to say, are script.cs packages NuGet packages?
They are. Yep, they are. So if you look here, you can see I have scriptcs.nancy, but then you see these other normal Nancy NuGet packages.
Okay.
So what a script pack really does is it just wraps other packages and libraries in a way that makes them more digestible in the scripting world. So that's a pretty cool thing. That's been around actually a while, but you'll notice I'm running it on my Mac, not on Windows. So we support full cross-platform.
Under Mono, or are you running under .NET Core?
Today we are running under Mono. That's a great question. One of the biggest items on our list right now is to migrate to .NET Core and to use Roslyn, whether you're running on Windows, Mac, or Linux.
What's the editor environment like? Do I do this in just Notepad with no syntax highlighting, or do I get a full
We actually have support in VS Code now for syntax highlighting, thanks to OmniSharp.
Nice.
We support syntax highlighting in Atom. We support syntax highlighting in Sublime Text. All of that is on the wings of OmniSharp, which has been an awesome project. We also have a plugin for Sublime Text that will give you just straight up syntax highlighting. We have REPL support within almost all of the editors. So there's more to do. And one of the cool things we have now is actual debugging in Visual Studio, and that's one thing I wanted to show you.
Okay.
So with ScriptCS, you can actually do pretty complex apps, if you want to call them that, but they're all scripts. So notice here, no project file. I've just got a bunch of CSX files. And this is a WPF calculator written completely in script. So the new thing we have is, this is a pretty complicated app that has like view models and logic, and maybe I want to debug it and step through it, and not debug it by doing console.writeline. So what I can actually do is I can run the ScriptCS REPL, and I have a new command. So if I do help here, you'll see that in our REPL, and our REPL is extensible, by the way, so you can write your own REPL commands, which is pretty nice. You see I have this thing called OpenVS. So if I do OpenVS start.csx.
OpenVS or open?
Oh, OpenVS, yeah. I'm not actually going to run it because it runs slow. I already have VS done. This will actually create a Visual Studio solution on the fly for my ScriptCS project. There's no project file, so it's utilizing a really cool feature of VS that a lot of people outside Microsoft don't know about, which is that you can basically just create a solution that runs an exe.
Right,
and that's what this is doing.
You've made a GUID there. You've made a solution on the fly, just in time, a just-in-time solution.
That's what it does. Yeah, and you can run it as many times as you want. So now I'm going to run this.
And you got a breakpoint.
Yep. So I got a breakpoint. And you're going to see my WPF calculator come up in a minute.
Right, you bring up ScriptCS because that's the host.
Exactly.
For it.
You can think of it as like the Node.exe equivalent. So here I got my calculator, so I'm going to say like 45 plus.
I think I'm blocking your view, sir.
Yep.
And
so
there you are.
You can see there I am, and I actually can do hovering. I can access the watch window. I can use the full debugger.
So this seems natural that basically every C# programmer should have this in their toolkit.
We not everybody loves it, but it's easy to use, and it doesn't get in your way.
Well, let me ask you this: what's not to love?
I agree, but there's people, some people get it, some people feel like, well, why wouldn't I just use F#? Why would I bother even using this? And my answer first is, you don't have to use this, but I've been saying that for a long time, and I know you say the same thing.
Well, the thing I say when I talk about like Edge.js, people look at it and they go, why? What problem would I have that I would need this? And I think the thing is, if you have this problem, then we have the solution.
Exactly. So I'm in the same boat. And then the second thing is, some people just feel like, I just don't get it, or I'll just use PowerShell or whatever, and that's perfectly fine. But there's a lot of people that get it, find value, and so, we continue to develop it. And this is why we're going to do the major port for core CLR, which is going to be a pretty significant effort. So the one other thing I just wanted to show you that's really cool, and this builds on something you were tweeting about, is Ben Hall has this new company called Katacoda.
Okay.
And you were
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so Katacoda provides an interactive environment to do things. It's all backed by Docker containers, and we actually now have thanks to Ben, and I helped him a little, we now have a Learn ScriptCS environment. So if I click on this, you can see I'm in an interactive
in the
shell,
browser here,
and
I'm not in the DOS prompt.
And I can run ScriptCS, but it's even better. I can actually install packages. So like I'm in ScriptCS right now, and I can do console.
He's doing all this in a Docker container, right?
Yes, it's all running in a container. But the coolest thing about it is because he gives you a full container, I can actually do things like install packages.
Wow. Because you have a playground, right? It's a sandbox.
Exactly. You have a full playground. So it's really, really cool stuff. So if you go to our ScriptCS homepage, you'll see that we actually have a pointer to this now. Just go to scriptcs.net and you'll see that.
So and again, all open source, cross-platform. Do you need anything from the open source community? If someone's watching this and they say, this speaks to my soul, how do I get involved?
Help us. We're going to do a complete rewrite to go to core CLR. And one of the reasons is we are breaking a lot of stuff anyway, and we have an opportunity based on all the learnings. There's a whole extensibility model around ScriptCS, and third parties have built libraries, plugins, even Azure has built things. As a matter of fact, just to show you that quickly, I know we're running out of time, if I go to our repo, and you look at our wiki, you'll see we've got quite a bit of documentation there, but you'll see that we have a list of script packs And these are things that community has written, and like so this Paul Bauer now works at Microsoft, but he's written an Azure management library that if you want to use like ARM and things like that.
This is really natural. If you're not a PowerShell person and you don't have any interest in learning PowerShell, but you want to automate Azure, ScriptCS is a natural for that.
Exactly. So yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff that's coming. And one thing just to mention, the biggest request that we've had for running ScriptCS on Windows is we want to use dynamic, we want to use async await, and we want to use the new C#6 features. And we recently released a version of ScriptCS that uses a later version of Roslyn bits, not the final bits, but you can finally get dynamic and async await and all of the C#6 features when you're using ScriptCS on Windows.
So folks can find this at Chocolatey, but they can go to scriptcs.net, and it's like a one-liner. It takes no time to install this.
That's right.
Very cool. Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks for having me on, Scott.
Having fun at .NET Fringe. You like sitting on the floor typing.